He owned one of the most devastating dogs in dogfighting history. This is the second part of Mr. Hughes' interview, The Mountain Man. Buster was another dog I heard two stories about. One story said he won, the other said he was cold. What I heard John Shavar say, he bought it from Maurice Carver, for a fifth of whiskey. He stayed with Buster for 2 weeks or 2 months or something like that, and then he died. Lapasse also caught a dog, and the same thing happened to Buster, about the same period he died. I bred Buster when he was very old, but no puppies were born. He sure has produced some good dogs. His daughter Grand Champion Miss Rage killed every dog she fought except one. But the second time she fought the one that survived, she also killed him. The Midnight Cowboy was a small black dog, low and half-arched. He was a very good dog, one of the best in my opinion. I would put him in the top 10 of all the dogs I've ever seen fight. He bit hard, not as hard as he'd ever seen her, but enough to win. I saw Chivo kill Billy Collins' dog in less than 30 minutes. He really was a bulldog. I would say he was also one of the best I've ever seen. Lord Hughes also named Boomerang Grand Champion as one of the best. But he thinks the fiercest dog he ever saw was Grand Champion Zebo. Champion Homer was a tough biter, but Zebo was tougher than he was. He bit so hard, to the point of killing all his opponents. They claim that the greaser didn't die. It is unknown if he disappeared, or if he was retired for breeding, but he was never heard from again. It wouldn't have been a tough fight if Greaser wasn't 1.5 pounds heavier. I saw the famous tramp dog Red Boy, he beat me once. He was good, and a solid bulldog. Some people say that he couldn't bite hard. And that he only won because he didn't have a real competition. Huey Hicks brought me a big bitch. He wanted to put up a fight against Red Boy. So I put. The first 45 minutes of the fight, it looked like she was going to kill Red Boy. Then he started to bite her head really hard. And he bit hard. He made her stop, in 1 hour and 17 minutes. That was the only time I pitted a female against a male. And the fight was not mine. Even back then, it wasn't male versus female. And I'm not in favor of that. It's not fair to either of them. There are times when a male will not fight so much with a female. Most of the time, the female would have an advantage because of this. And the female will not always fight a male. Not how hard she would fight another bitch. This is just my opinion. Mr. Hughes also saw the great champion Honey Bunch fighting, and told us. I think she was one of the best dogs I've ever seen. In the first fight she beat a dog that I conditioned and handled, and she killed him. I refereed her next match against a bitch named Bonnie, and she killed that bitch too. When I asked about Grand Champion Beau de Finley, I was surprised by the answer. I asked, "Have you ever seen Beau Lutter? Was he a Gameness dog?" He replied, "No, he refused to fight back in front of 175 people. When he lost his second fight, to the dog Vindicator. I wouldn't say he was a mutt. In fact, Vindicator was probably the only dog that could defeat him. Beau was biting Vindicator's head for the first 15 minutes or so. He had a good mouth, and he was biting hard. But then, the Vindicator started biting hard on Beau's front paws. He would bite on one paw, then go to another paw, then back to another, and Beau started to cry a little. LP bet Bob $100 that he would not fight again. LP got it right and Bo didn't fight back. He didn't cross the line, in his courtesy scratch. When he refused to fight, I told Bob, "Walk around to the other corner, and see if he'll proceed." He did so, but Bo just looked at the corner of the ring. Bo won 5 or 6 more fights after giving up this time. I didn't see Grand Champion Snake fight, but James Crenshaw told me he was one hell of a dog. Champion Jeep was a good Gameness dog, but I've seen better than him. I don't want to take credit from him, it's just that he wasn't the greatest dog of all time, as some people say he was. He was real Gameness. Any dog that fights for 3 hours and 45 minutes can be sure he is real. I know that some people said that he couldn't be beaten in the fight, that he was ahead from the beginning. But one thing is for sure, he had already proved in the fight against the dog Wiener, that he could come out from under to win. I didn't see this fight, but I heard that the weenie confused the Jeep for a good part of the fight. The weenie was a funny dog. He was 1 dog tall, and 2 dogs long. I've seen some dogs like that could really bite hard. They had that trait going for them. We asked Mr. Hughes, who was the dog that had the strongest bite, other than Grand Champion Zebo, and which was the hardest biting bitch he saw. The fiercest dog I've seen in the last 10 years was Champion Homer. As far as I know, no dog has spent half an hour with Homer and survived. He also killed several dogs in rolls, before an official fight. The bitch I've seen with the strongest bite is Grand Champion Spooky. She is the daughter of the dog Homer and the female Susie. I raised Spooky and raised her before I sold her to Ricky Jones. At that time I got rid of many dogs. I think I misjudged. When I did a test fight with Spooky, they all looked bad. Spooky was so good, she made all dogs look bad. The only dog I've seen go head to head with her. It was a bitch that Bobby Hall and Jeanette bet against her. She fought Spooky for over an hour. Spooky took a terrible bite out of her head. But she was biting her chest most of the time. Spooky stopped the dog. She refused to fight, at 1 hour and 42 minutes. I heard people saying that she didn't want to go back to the fight, but she could have. The first time I saw Zebo, he bit me, said Mr. Hughes. William Cable and I went to Lonzo's house to see his dogs. Lonzo had his dogs tied up in a narrow path. If you took a step to the side, the dogs could catch up with you. I started walking along the path. I was behind Lonzo. I stopped and asked, "Can any of these dogs reach us?" He said, "No." And he said the dogs wouldn't bite me at all. So we kept walking. We took a few steps, when suddenly a black dog stretched the chain and bit my arm. I swung my fist, and punched him in the jaw, and he fell to the ground. That was the first time I laid eyes on Zebo. Willie Brown was there with his wife and daughter. He and Lonzo were testing a lot of dogs. They rolled a bitch from Willie into Lena. Lena was Zebo's sister. Soon after they rolled, Vindicator versus Zebo. It was a very short test. The way they were hurting each other, it was impossible to stay any longer without them killing each other. The Vindicator was punishing Zebo's front paws. Zebo was hurting Vindicator's nose. Zebo was poking holes in Vindicator's snout the size of my little finger. Blood flowed everywhere. Lonzo preferred the Vindicator, but I asked Willie which dog he liked best. And he said that he had seen the two fight before, and that he liked Zebo better. I really liked Zeebo, but I didn't buy Zeebo that day. I came back after a few months, and Lonzo had rolled Zeebo into an 80-pound dog. Zeebo's shoulder was badly hurt. Ms. Hughes added. His leg was hanging off, it looked like it had been ripped off. I bought Zeebo and took him home. William Cable took him to the vet. Zeebo had his shoulder reconstructed. The surgery cost $75, which was a lot of money at the time. Lonzo let me take Zeebo right away. I paid in installments for it. He says to this day that I still owe him the Zeebo. But I paid him every Zeebo penny. I went back later to Lonzo, and bought 4 female puppies. They were the daughter of the dog Mike and the female Angie. And I paid in installments too. But I didn't pay $20 for each puppy because Willie Brown told me I wasn't going to see the dog's papers. That Lonzo wouldn't pay for the pedigree, and that was the story that I owe Lonzo Pratt $80. Of the 5 dogs I bought from Lonzo, 3 were very good, and hats off to that. Every time you buy 5 dogs from a man, you are more likely to get 5 strays than 3 good dogs. Of these females, one won 2 fights, and the other died in a fight in the kennel. Of the 2 that didn't work out, one got cold and the other fought 15 minutes and gave up. After Zeebo was all healed up, I bet with Zeebo. His first fight was easy. The fight was against a friend of mine, with whom I had combined with 18 kilos. The dog he brought was about 16 kilos, Zeebo weighed about 18 kilos. Zeebo killed him in 17 minutes. Bob Finley had a 2-fight winner named Pete. We bet on 19 kilos. Pete had won his fights with a heavier weight, Zeebo reached 18.5 kilos, which was already too heavy for him. Zeebo was a good dog, strong and persistent. Zeebo killed Pete in 26 minutes. The next one was against my friend from the service again, and it was a really good fight. Zeebo won in about 30 minutes and the dog also died. That dog, it was real Gameness, he would have come back to the fight if he could have. I can't believe that man messed with bulldogs anymore after that. He was a really nice man. And I'm not going to say he's a deputy sheriff or anything like that. But he is on top of the law. Junior Bush called and said he had a fight for Zeebo in Alabama. Against a guy named Esslinger, who was really mad at us at the time. We let go, and when that guy saw what was going on, I saw that he sort of felt like he'd been knocked over. He walked up to me and said, "That dog can kill a dog, can't it?" And I answered, "Yes, he recently killed 2. And if you don't get his, he'll kill you too." That was the second part of Mr. Hughes' interview, The Mountain Man. My name is Rodolpho Luiz, and I invite everyone to enjoy the knowledge of this wonderful breed. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video. God bless you all. I went.